Cooper. Cooper with a great chance. Cooper must make it four. He does.
The Full-Time Review is brought to you and supported by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling equipment rental, and also by Craig International, a truly global company with 10 offices strategically placed around the globe. The future of global procurement is right here. So full-time yesterday in East Kilbride, the Dons coming away with an eventual comfortable 4-0 win. Nicky Devlin with the opener, an absolute beauty from Jamie McGrath. Leighton Clarkson getting off the mark with a sensational free kick, and Shaden Morris rounded off the scoring with his first goal for Aberdeen. So after yesterday's results, where Airdrieonians had a sensational comeback against Dumbarton, they stay top of Group A. We're level pegging, but they have a better goal difference by 2. And we face them next at Pittodrie on Tuesday night, 19:45 kickoff. It's the first home game of the season. And just ahead of that game, look how magnificent the pitch is looking. These are right up-to-date photographs sent to me courtesy of head groundsman David Nicholson, and I'm sure you'll agree the park looks incredible. Congratulations to David and all his team for an absolutely superb job over the summer. Here we go. Can't wait to get us up and running at Pittodrie. So 2 wins out of 2. How you doing? Very warm welcome to the full-time review show here on Ali Beg ABTV. So this is your opportunity to have your say about yesterday's game against East Kilbride. So we've got the normal housekeeping coming up a little bit later. We'll hear from Yemi Talim. Well, we won't hear from him per se, but I've got a couple of quotes that I've picked out from his post-match interviews. Got the match stats and all that sort of stuff for you as well. So what did we think? I have to be honest, first 25 minutes, I thought we were a bit ropey. I have to be honest. I wonder, because of the team that he selected. Let's have a look at the team. Let's just quickly remind ourselves. So Ross Doohan only started his third game for the Dons in goal. Sivert Nilsson was missing, and the reason that he was missing was because he couldn't play as he had to serve a suspension which was overlapped from his move from Brann Bergen to Aberdeen. Hence why he was not selected yesterday. Vinny Beserwin, he made his first appearance for the first team since that ill-fated night in Darvel. So that was the team that he selected. What did you make of the team? I was delighted that Vinny got a start. I've read a few things about his performance online. I don't think too many of you were impressed. But what I would say is, let's just give him some time. Let's not start putting pressure on these guys from the off. He's been away for a while. From what the manager was saying, he's been struggling with a hamstring injury, so he's not 90%. The manager did say that he will not be able to finish a 90-minute game. So it's about drip feeding him in, and I'm sure he will only get better and better. But when you're playing against part-time football players, it should really be a little bit more comfortable for you than what it was. But overall, I thought once we got the opening goal, I thought we were in cruise control. After we got the fourth goal, I thought we took the foot off the pedal a little bit, which was to be expected. Okay, they had a couple of chances before we opened the scoring from Nicky Devlin. But to be honest with you, content with the performance. I thought we played some really good stuff at times. You can see, like what we said last week, what the manager is trying to implement into the side, the style of football that he wants to play. And yeah, overall, very satisfied. So let me just clear the timeline so that I can just bring in Yimi and the match stats for you. We'll do that back to back, and then we can get you guys onto the show to see how you're all doing. So there is Yimi, in you come, fella. And let's grab the match stats as well, which are there. Right, so let's get these two quotes on from Yimi first of all. So he said, I think it was a professional performance. They started well. They had a chance in the beginning, and then they got that feeling that they believed in themselves. We struggled a little bit in the beginning with the man marking, but then we found solutions and got into the game step by step. He also said the whole season is an evolution of the team, so we need to keep working the whole season. It's not like competing at the Olympics in Paris and it's just one day. We have to grow all the time. There's going to be some in and out maybe in the squad, and we just need to keep pushing, pushing, pushing. Here are your match stats from the game. So 51% of possession. We had 16 shots in total, of which 8 were on target, 6 were off target. The others were blocked, if you're wondering where the 16 comes from. And overall, we won 8 corners in the game. So those were the match stats. So just to let you know that we're going to do another show tomorrow night. We're going to do a preview show ahead of the Adrionian games. And I'm absolutely delighted to tell you that I've got an exclusive interview with the Adrionians manager, Rhys McCabe, lined up. He's going to be talking to Rhys tomorrow about how his preparations have gone to face Aberdeen. And considering the really good start that they've made as well, this is certainly going to be a very interesting test for Aberdeen at Pittodrie on Tuesday night, because I kind of got to know Rhys a wee while ago and sort of followed his career and kept an eye on how he's doing. And it's just a personal opinion, but he's one of the best young coaches in the Scottish game. And if he continues to progress at the rate that he's currently doing, this guy could really go places. So let's not underestimate them on Tuesday night, because it's going to be a tricky game against them, because he's got them playing some really nice stuff. Right, let's see how you are doing. Okay. Let me just pause that. Right, there we go. Gray Pilgrim is on. Hi, Gray. How are we? Good evening, Dandy. Solid performance yesterday. Bigger test to come on Tuesday, but Yimmy is starting off well. Stuart Malcolm has said, good evening, Ali, and all my fellow Dandies. Coming down from Forest for Tuesday's game. Another 4 goals will do it for me. Stand free. The musical box is on. Wishing everyone a good evening. Paul Gosgrove has said, good result and good to see Vinny and Doohan start the game. The musical box came back to say, I thought Vinny looked fit and motivated yesterday. I did feel we missed Nielsen in midfield though. I have to be honest, I thought Vinny was all right. I think he looked a bit rusty. And I just think it'll just take a couple of games for him to get match fit, and then I think he'll be absolutely fine. But there were glimpses. He was a little bit guilty of giving the ball away a couple of times, but there were glimpses of the old Vinny. So I really hope he comes good. Grey Pilgrim said, so happy to see Morris get a goal. Take that, Neil Warnock. His touch to set himself up to score the goal was absolutely sensational. And I have to say, when he moved over to the left, after Yimmy made the substitutions, I thought he looked actually more comfortable over on the left. So overall, delighted to see him make a very solid start to the current campaign. Susan Casey is here. Hi Susan, how are you? Hi Dandies. Can we say a few things to work on, but another clean sheet and 4 goals from 4 different players. The rain was awful down there. McGrath's goal was something else, wasn't it? An absolute peach. Just brilliant vision. Again, Jamie has made, for me, a fantastic start to the season. What a player he is. And if I was the football club, I'd start to think about getting him tied up on a longer term deal. The musical box has said, in regards to the photograph of the pitch I just showed you, he said, we've always had a good playing surface and have done for many years. First class ground staff. They really are. They do a fantastic job, David and the lads. Baz Strachan has said, good evening, Dandy. 7 goals so far from 6 different scorers isn't bad. And Bojan not being one shows we have goals in the team. And things will hopefully only get better as the games keep coming. Come on, you Reds, he said. Andy B has said, decent result. I thought we struggled with the collective press in the first half hour, but that will come. Moving away from Astro pitches will be massive. Yeah, I agree with that. I really am not a big fan of AstroTurf pitches. The Kilted Warrior is here wishing everybody a good evening. How are you? Can't be bothered, I said. Job done. On to the next one. For me, the jury is still out on Morris, and we should still be looking to recruit in the wide areas. DM said the first 20 minutes felt like Darvel, but we got a hold of the game, and from there we played well. Malcolm Park is agreeing with Can't Be Bothered about Morris, saying he got a goal but still not convinced that he's good enough. The musical box said, I thought we underestimated them at the start and had to up our game a little bit, which we did. I have to say, I was really impressed with them in the opening 20 minutes. I thought they had, considering they're only part-time players, they didn't look like part-time players to me at all. There were one or two of them that really impressed me. I thought they were very well organised. They broke away a couple of times. And overall, I was very impressed with how they set themselves up. But I think once we got the opening goal, that's what we needed. We just needed to get the opening goal, and then we were never in danger after that. I know we had a little scare just before we opened the scoring, but overall, we absolutely controlled the game after we scored. So, Baz Strachan came back to say, it was interesting that Pape could play out wide and gives us a new option and variety. He's match fit also coming back from Norway. Angela Hamilton is here. Hi Ange, how are you? She says, hi everyone. I'm feeling much more hopeful for this season. I think we all are, to be honest with you. Derek Griffiths, good evening Ali. Didn't see the game but saw the goals online. It's good to see Morris getting on the score sheet. Great goal by Clarkson and McGrath. 2 clean sheets, so can't complain. Paul C. Rikia said, good team for who we played. Only 2 games in, so don't expect a lot so far. It's all about minute in the legs. Excuse me. Musical Box came back to say, surprised Morris scored as he never looked like he might. Maybe he will continue to improve. Time will tell. Well, look, he does. He needs to improve. It's quite obvious that he does. Sometimes he's very guilty of his final ball not being good enough. I'm not sure if you remember when Terry McDermott and I spoke after the opening game, where we just felt he was a little bit guilty of not putting in decent enough crosses, and then lo and behold, as soon as we said that, bang, he puts one in. So against Queen of the South. So he's got to really, he most definitely has to work on his final ball. I also think he needs to be a little bit more aware of what goes on around him if the ball's coming to him with his back to goal. I think he's quite guilty of losing possession with his back to goal. Going forward, I don't overly have an issue with him. I like the fact that he takes his immediate opponent on straight away. I like that he wants to get to the byline. I like that he wants to get crosses in. That's all very positive for me. But with his back to goal, I think he needs a little bit of work. In a humble opinion. A Kilted Warrior has reminded everybody to push the old like button. So if you wouldn't mind, that'd be fantastic. If you're enjoying the show, of course. David Gold Rally Vids is on, wishing everybody a good evening. Can't Be Bothered is asking, does anybody know when the tribunal is for Conor Barron's transfer fee? Don't have a clue, and to be honest, I don't care. Phil McLean has said, feels more like pre-season, but still good to win. Neom709 is on, wishing everybody a good evening as well. The musical box came back to say, I think Morris might be better on the left, as he seems to be pretty right-footed, and playing on the left makes him move inside much better. Yeah, that's not a bad shout. Gavin Wilson said, almost missed out tonight. For me, McGrath was man of the match. I liked Vinny's first game back. Good to see Jensen and Duhan too. Can't Be Bothered has said, a win and a good laugh at Hibs. What a weekend. What a bad result for them against Kelty Hearts, huh? Deary me. The musical box said, the lad Baldy looked great and had some pace yesterday despite being non-league. Yeah. I completely agree. I thought for the first 20 minutes he was the standout player on the park. I thought he was absolutely magnificent, Baldy. And I cannot believe he's only a part-time player. Surely he should be playing, and again, I mean this with the greatest respect, but surely he should be playing at a higher level. I thought he was absolutely magnificent. Michael Finlay has said, good evening all, good results, still very early in the new Yimi Talene era. Yes, I think it shows we still have things to work on, but feeling very positive for the future. John Moore has said, been decent so far, but lower quality teams. We need to continue raising our game to see where we actually are. Let's see how Tuesday goes. Interesting to see our preferred lineup in the league. Gray Pilgrim makes a very good point. He said, the Dons Min banner is brilliant. Excellent stuff from whoever takes it to the games. Gavin's just reminding everybody that Baldy was he was part of Rangers' youth team. Thank you, Gavin. What a good player, honestly. Rod Cow is saying, good evening, Ali. It was a good variation of goals from the Dons. Lots of different threats. Is a hopeful sign so far. John Helmsley is on. Hi, John. How are you? I'll be in touch. This week. Baldy showed as a great player, high level, easily possible. Yeah, I completely agree. Right, so that's all the comments that have come in at the moment. So just let me quickly remind you, God, it's hot in here again, so you know the question and answer session that I've been doing, the quickfire question and answer session I've been doing with the ex-players. So if you missed Andrew Considine's feature, that's now sitting on the channel. So it's now there for everybody to see. And I think you'll really enjoy it because it was really, really good fun. And what I found particularly interesting after I posted that today, the amount of people who said that he should have some sort of role at Pittodrie. And I absolutely could not agree more. I think the club should seriously look at him. I don't see why they're not looking at him. I don't really understand it, if I'm being honest. For me, he'd be the perfect candidate to go in at youth level, and you know what an influential person he would be in and around that football club. It's like what I said about when Neil Simpson put out his post saying that he was leaving the football club after 35 years. That I find it really quite sad that we now don't have a player like Simi to be a real influence on players at the football club. Doesn't matter what level or what age, because people like Neil Simpson have come through the ranks. He's a local lad. He knows what it's like to have that pressure of being a local lad and playing for his local team, and played in our greatest ever team, in the greatest eras that we had, that we enjoyed as a football club. So I can't really think now of anybody who is involved at the football club who has got that type of experience. I know we've got Stuart Duff there, we've got Derek Young, we've got lads like that who are working at the youth team. And it's great to be able to call upon these guys who played a number of first team games. But when you talk about Andrew Considine's level, you know, considering he's in the fourth time all-time appearance list, and then Neil Simpson, that's what I mean. And that's what I talk about bringing guys in. Obviously, they've got to come in on merit, obviously. They can't just come in for the sake of it. They have to be there and you know, they have to fight for their role. But I don't understand why the football club don't look at somebody like Andrew Considine. Again, just a humble opinion. John Helmsley came back to say he's dying to see Sievert and Shinnie together again. Yeah, I think we might see that again on Tuesday, John. Hope so, anyway. Musical Box makes a good point. He says, Airdrie are going to be a better guide to how we're doing. Yeah, I agree with that. They're going to be our first real test. David Gold Rally Vids came back to say, think we've seen glimpses of the pressing style Yimi wants to implement. Small teams never make it too easy to play good football. Musical Box came back to say, I agree. I think Andy Considine would be an excellent ambassador for the club. Yeah, I agree. He would make a fantastic ambassador. But I think he should have a much more important role than just being an ambassador. John Helmsley is saying, really enjoying the channel and the sense of togetherness. Thanks, John. That's what we're all about here. That's what we're trying to sort of convey. It's the message we're trying to convey. And that's down to you guys. So the respect that you show each other is what's making this channel successful. So continued thanks from my end. Gavin Wilson said, we were offering Hayes a role, and now with Simi going, surely Conce could have a role or can have a role. I agree, mate. I absolutely agree. Stuart Malcolm came on to say, Ali, with Simi gone and now Johnny, Andy Considine would be a perfect fit for our under-20s. Yeah, I agree. John Moore says, bring Conce home. Can't be bothered as said. I would like to see Jack Milne get more minutes. Looked very good during his fleeting appearances last season. He also did well. I think he came on against Queen of the South, if my memory serves me correct, at right back. So, yeah, I like the look of Jack Milne as well. He's got time. He's got time. I think he'll be fine. Musical Box said, to be fair, Andy only retired a week or two ago, so there's time yet. No, you're absolutely right. Hey, Barry Cole has come on and said, good evening, Dandy. It's a bit late tonight due to getting ready to go out in Portugal with my good lady. Well, Barry, have a fantastic time. I hope you're having a great holiday. He goes on to say, looking forward to getting home on Friday and back to Pittodrie on Saturday, where we host Dumbarton. So 2 back-to-back games for us now. Airdrie obviously on Tuesday. It's a lot of people are asking. It is live on Premier Sports, so we won't be doing a watch-along show, but we're definitely doing a preview show tomorrow. So if you missed it, just to again reiterate the point, got an exclusive interview with their manager Rhys McCabe lined up. So I'm going to be talking to him tomorrow afternoon, and then I'll bring that to you tomorrow evening. And then we'll be back on Wednesday night for the review show as well. And then we're off to hospital for a few days. Bob Duff is here. How are we doing? Looking forward to getting back to work at Pittodrie on Tuesday night. David Goldralli Vids said, I also think Conce would make a good coach. He's the definition of a modern Dons legend. That's right. Do you know, it was really interesting when, just a wee story, just while some of your comments come in. I spoke to David Priest, a good couple of years ago now, do you remember my old blog page? So before we sort of turned the blog page into what is now the YouTube channel. So I interviewed David about his career at Aberdeen, and he was very, very interesting to talk to. And I asked him about the halls of Pittodrie, which were donned with photographs of our greatest ever team, and the 1970 Scottish Cup winning team, the 76 League Cup winning team, the 1980 League champions, etc. And he told me that a manager who he worked under wanted those photographs to be taken down because he felt it was a hindrance on the team. And David's argument to that was, the way he looked upon it was, it should have been a means of inspiration for players who came to Pittodrie, who signed for Aberdeen, to see these pictures up on the walls, to see what the football club had achieved under Sir Alex Ferguson and Ali MacLeod and Jimmy Bonthrone and all these guys, Eddie Turnbull, and how he wanted the players to be inspired by it, not to do the complete opposite. And he was baffled by the thinking of that manager at the time. Thankfully, it never happened, he told me. And that's what I'm saying about club legends who are at the football club, where players can go and call upon them if they need advice, if they need somebody to lean on, if they need to go and speak to somebody about the pressures of playing for Aberdeen, because it does come with pressure. And I think it's the one thing the football club need to address. I know the club ambassadors are there and the lads are fantastic. Joe, Walker, Andy Dornan, brilliant, brilliant guys who always go out of their way to make time for the players, especially the young lads. But they're not in and around the football club all the time. They're only there on a part-time basis, particularly on match days. So I want to see somebody in there who the players can call upon, because they would have called upon Johnny Hayes. They might have called upon a Stephen Glass when he was the manager, because he knew what it was like to play for the club. So again, it's just an opinion. Grey Pilgrim said, good goalie, David Priest, and a top lad. Honestly, he's a top lad. Cammy Bother said, would Andy want to come back after the way he was treated just playing devil's advocate? No, you make a very good point. You make a very good point. Charles Craig has said, Derek Young is now working for the SFA Performance School at Hazelhead Academy, having taken over from Stuart Glennie. You're absolutely correct. Thank you, Charles, for reminding me. Many players in the current squad came through that pathway. Vacancy at Cormac Park for Andy. Thanks, Charles. You're absolutely right. It's all coming back to me now because I remember speaking, when I did the question and answer session with Derek, he was telling me he was going through that interview process, but I hadn't spoken to him since, so I wasn't sure. Stuart Malcolm is asking, was that Jimmy Calderwood? No, it was not. Grey Pilgrim has said, Russell Anderson still works at the club, does he not? No, he does not. Russell Anderson now works for Aberdeen Considine. Musical Box makes a good point. He said, those photos also show that it is possible to attain great heights while playing for Aberdeen. It's a very good point. And it's so funny how, I don't really engage on social media anymore with fans of other football clubs, unless they come on and have a bit of banter and have a bit of a laugh. I don't mind that. But these muppets that come on and hide behind a password and hide behind a username, and they come on and all they ever do is say, oh, living in the past, living in the 80s, you guys still live in 1983, all that kind of stuff. I've said for years and years that we should embrace our history. We should not be afraid of the nostalgia. We should absolutely embrace it. And we should use it as a means to power on. That if a team like the Gothenburg Greats can do it, with Sir Alex Ferguson at the helm, these lads had desire, they had fight, they wanted to play for that shirt. I know the game's completely different now and everything's different, 40 years on, it's completely different, of course it is. But what matters is, and I've said it time and time again, it's what's in there that matters. It's how you want to apply yourself on the football park. It's how do you want to win trophies? Do you want to be judged by the cars that you drive and the house that you live in? Or do you want to be judged by the medals that you win? Do you want to be judged by the amount of followers that you've got on social media? Or do you want to be judged by the medals that you win during your professional career? I remember asking Willie Miller years ago that question. I actually said to him, do you think, and this is when social media first started coming out, I said to him, do you think there's a danger that football players now see social media as their new medal? And he went, absolutely. And he says whenever he used to get into debates or arguments with people, he would always say, I'll show you my medals. I'll show you my caps. End of argument, really, eh? Musical Box came back to say, I think Andy was badly treated because of the manager at the time. That's absolutely correct. Bob, I take your point, but it's not strictly true. Gavin Wilson said, I went to a book signing in Aberdeen about early 2010. There was John Hewitt and Craig Brown in front of me. I was starstruck. Met John Hewitt back in the 80s on Union Street. David Gold Rally Vid said, I believe the biggest obstacle to Consi coming back is manager at Dundee United these days. Someone like Ian Jess would be a great guy to have around Pittodrie as well. That's a good shout. Musical Box said, we embrace a time that many teams fans avoid talking about because the status quo was upset for several years. Good point. Barry Cole said, nice post, Barry. He said, Stevie Cowan married a lassie who stayed on the corner of my street in Kingcorth. I got to have a kickabout with him regularly. Steve's a great lad. As you know, I worked with him for a number of years on the big Saturday football show in North Sound. So unfortunately, I won't be. My contract came to an end with North Sound, so that I won't be appearing on North Sound on Saturday afternoons anymore. So that's fine because we've got other stuff to do. So it's absolutely no problem at all. Just end of contracts, all that kind of stuff. That's what happens in the media. Jude said, think there's been so many changes since Andy left that he'd come back no problem. Seems too classy to carry a grudge. Mate, nail on the head. Gavin Wilson said, I think Ian Jess is enjoying life too much out in Barcelona. Oh, isn't he just? Right, guys, we have done half an hour. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for all your comments tonight. As always, it's great to see you all. So be back tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, usual time, for the preview show. And then we'll see you again on Wednesday night for the review show after the Adrionians game. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll see you tomorrow night. Stand free.